Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Randy and I have had a lot of people ask me how I make this. I call them bubbles and it's really fun to do, and you don't need a lot of ink. You just need time and patience, and then you can make stuff like this. I call these bubbles because they remind me sort of balloons. I don't know what you'd call them, but a lot of people have asked me, so I'm going to show you very simple and easy how you make these bubbles. I'm going to use Nara paper to make this, and I'm going to use a little purple, maybe some other colors, we'll see. You're going to start by just putting a tiny bit of ink down. And I'm going to use just a tiny bit of isopropyl, not a lot, just a little bit. And we're just going to blow it out with the heat gun, like this. When you start out, it doesn't really matter what this looks like. What matters is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to put down a little more isopropyl right here, just a tiny bit. I can use my index finger, one of these two, to touch the ink. Don't use your thumb because you'll end up putting it down on the paper and then you have to remove it. So I'm just going to do this. Just going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to add a little more isopropyl, like this. And now I'm going to just pick the paper up and tilt it around so that I get this nice round shape. And you can always use your finger if you sort of get it in direction that you don't want. You just do this. Wipe your finger and start tilting. See how the ink is sort of slowly moving. I should have used a little more isopropyl on this. It's okay. I get this. We're just going to dry it. I think it's really important when you do this when you use the heat gun that you don't put it directly over the ink. You keep it next to the ink and in the direction where the fade is kind of going, so that you don't push more ink in this direction. You can hold it onto the sides, but not directly on it, but keep it close to the paper. So we're going to do one more. Put a little isopropyl on, mix it in with your finger, make this sort of round shape. There's a lot of ink here. Put a little more isopropyl on it, like this, and then you tilt it very slowly. Get the ink to move around with the isopropyl. If it doesn't get the shape that you want, you just use your finger. See, I'm lacking a little over here, like this. And just tilting. I'm moving this away from the camera. I'm really sorry. It's just easier this way. Now you've got sort of a round shape and a very nice fade. We're going to dry it. Just keeping this next to the ink, but kind of close to the paper. I don't really move it around. Just leave it right there. There we go. Just gonna move the paper. We're gonna make another one right here. What's really great about this Nara paper is that you can just remove all of this completely. If you haven't tried it, you really should. You make something that's really, really ugly, which we all do sometimes, not often, and then you just wipe it all off. You put the isopropyl on and you wipe it all off. It's very easy. So if you haven't tried it, you really should. Here we go. We're making another bubble. Just tilting it slowly to mix the ink with the isopropyl. You need to have a little patience. No need for speed, really. So I'm kind of liking this one. Always the last sort of tilt you do it so that the ink goes towards your very pretty line here, so that you get that sort of fade. I'm gonna try it again. I'm loving this color. I think I forgot to tell you what color I'm using, did I? I don't remember. Rewind and watch it again. I'm going to tell you, this is VO9 Violet. Can you see that? Right there. Very nice. There you go. Now, we have sort of made 3 bubbles, and you can just continue to make more, and they will fade more and more the further out you go. I'm not going to add any more ink. I'm just going to use the ink that is already on the paper. I got a big sort of block right here, so you can just use that to make another one. You can put a little ISO on here, tiny bit, mix it in, add some more isopropyl, just a little bit, and we're tilting very slowly, moving it around. You have to be a little patient. If you put too much isopropyl on it, you're going to get humongous bubbles. So it's better to just, well, if you want them to be humongous, you know, of course, be my guest. But just have patience so that you can move the ink very, very slowly. And then, there we go. I got something right here. I'm just going to remove that because it's bugging me. There we go. We're going to dry this one. This is such a cool color. We are going to just continue to make more bubbles. I'm going to make one right here. Tiny bit of isopropyl. I'm going to mix it in. Now you can sort of decide exactly where you want, how big you want it to be, because we're using a lot less ink now. And you can add less and less of this. And you just make them sort of fade beautifully. Tilting it around. And when you do this without adding more ink, you're going to get these really, really soft colors. And once you're sort of finished, you're going to have so much depth in it. Also, when you're using more than one color. I'm just using one color now to keep it simple. We're going to dry this. Right now it's looking a little pink, but it's going to make it more purple when it dries. There we go. So you get the richness of the color in the middle, and as we sort of move out, it's going to fade so beautifully. I'm going to make a tiny one right here. Now always put the ISO down a little from where you want the bubble to end, because you just move it with your fingers so that you don't remove something that you really didn't want to. That's very annoying. A little isopropyl on. And we're gonna keep doing the same thing. See how that very, very slowly moves. I don't want this to be too big. See, this is bugging me. We just do this. There we go. I need a little more isopropyl on this to move the ink. There we go. And we're drying it. See, I got this tiny little line that's making a little weird thing here, so I'm just going to remove that, which is very easy on this paper. There we go. Now I'm going to think, what do I want to do? I want to put one right here. You can just keep doing this until it sort of ends up the way you want it. You can add more color later. I just put one spot here with the purple. You can move out and add more color and then start making new bubbles. It's so easy to do that. I'm just going to put a little more in here. You tilt it towards the center here, and then you start moving it around. I hope this is showing properly on the camera. Tilt it over to the other side. And I got something in here again. Where did that come from? Don't want that. There we go. We're gonna dry it. So I'm gonna make another one right here. I'm gonna use some of this ink. There's a lot of ink in here. I want to use that so that we can get a bit more color in this. Mix it in. I want this to be a little bigger. There we go. Gonna add some more isopropyl. Just sort of putting it around the ink. And then when you tilt it, get the isopropyl to move in this direction first. Gonna tilt it in towards the middle. Oh, see how that moves. So pretty. I'm gonna start tilting it around. I'm gonna flip it back towards the center. I'm not sure I like this right here. It's sort of, I'm gonna leave it. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna dry this. can see, we are starting to get these really beautiful dark lines moving around. I don't know if you can see this. It's not out of focus, I think. We'll do a close-up at the ends. Now I'm thinking I want to add a little more purple. I'm going to do this down here. So I want sort of, you want to end up with some sort of flow. I'm not sure I'm going to finish this right now. I just really wanted to show you these bubbles, but I'm going to put a little purple down here and just dry it real quick. Like that. And we're going to start doing the same thing again. Put a little ISO on it, mix it in just a little bit, wipe your finger, and put a little more ISO on it. And we're going to tilt it first towards the middle, the center, and then around. Very slowly tilting it. Get over to the other side. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. We're going to dry it. So you can see, you can just build these bubbles all over. You can use many different colors. On this one, you could use some gray. That would be really pretty. I'm just going to do a couple more just to show you. Put down some ISO, mix it in with your finger. Put down a bit more ISO sort of around it. And start tilting it so that you mix in the ink with the ISO. And just remember to have patience when you do this. This is not something that you just make in like a couple of seconds. You need to have patience to slowly move the ink around. I want it down a little more on this side. And really, why rush? Shouldn't rush your art. Lesson number 1. So you can see I got a lot of ink in here, so I'm going to use that to make the next one. And then you can start to fade it out like we did on the other one. Just going to do this. Want this to be a little bit bigger. And if sometimes you don't really get the shape that you want, you just use your finger. We're tilting it back. Use your finger to change the direction if you don't really like the way it's sort of moving, because sometimes it takes on a life of its own. Sometimes it doesn't always do what you want it to do. There we go. I keep getting these little blobs. What is happening? And I spilled some ISO there. We're going to remove that too. Very carefully. You can do this on Nara paper very easily. Just make sure that you don't ruin some of the stuff that you've already done, because that's very annoying. I do that sometimes, but I'm getting better. I want to sort of connect these two by just fading this one out in this direction, so you sort of have centers of color. You don't want it all to connect, but sort of almost. That usually gives a lot of intrigue. I'm going to put one right here. Don't be afraid to ruin some of the that you've already made. I'm just going to do this. It's always good to sort of cover up. That's what gives it a lot of depth. Just move it towards the center, very slowly, and then around. Just move it back and forth a couple of times so that you get the ink slowly to move around. Here we go. So we're sort of slowly approaching each other on this one. I'm going to make one right here. I hope you can see all of this when I'm tilting, because I can't really look at the camera at the same time. See, here it's doing a little thing funny, so I'm just going to help it like this. Add a little more ISO. And we're going to just tilt it around again. That's great about ink. If it doesn't really turn out the way you want, you can always change it. Add more ISO, mix in the colors. But patience is really the key word when you're doing this. Don't rush it. It's not going to be good. It's also usually really good when you do this to not keep it too even. Like, have something go out here, but not here. Have something go out here, so it's not too symmetrical or ends up. See, this is turning out sort of round, so I'm gonna like keep working on this and make it more uneven. It's a personal choice, but I like it. So we're gonna do one right here. Sometimes when you get sort of like here, there's not a lot of color and you think it's not a lot, but you get the effect anyway from these lines that it creates. So it doesn't have to be a lot of color in it. And I love all those dark lines that appear. It's so pretty. And sometimes when you do this, you get it really round. Other times you get all these little, I don't even know what to call them. It doesn't always have to be completely round to be pretty. So don't worry too much about that. See how little color there actually is in this one. It's not a lot, but you still get an amazing effect from it. You can just keep building it out and out. And when this piece is sort of finished, then you realize how important those tiny, tiny fades are. Very little color, but very, very effective. I'm gonna make another one right here. The less ink you have to move around, the quicker they are to do. I've had so many people ask me, oh, how do you do this? I can't make stuff like this. And I think once you just sort of see how you do it and realize that you really just need a lot of patience, it's not actually that tricky. You just gotta try. I got green in here now. I think maybe I need new gloves. Okay. Ugh. Remember to use clean paper too. You're gonna get a lot of stuff that you don't want. Here we go. I'm gonna make one. I'm just gonna do like one last one right here. If you wanted to, you could add a tiny bit of color, but I think it's just easier to sort of fade the ones out that you already have. It gives you so much. Otherwise, you could end up with too much color, and you're not really gonna get the same effect. So just swirling around very slowly. There we go. And remember, always keep the heat gun or the hairdryer next to the ink. And don't really move it, just leave it here until it slowly starts to dry. See, I got a very not so pretty edge right here, so I'm just going to use a little ISO and fade this out. You just need a tiny bit of ink in here to make it sort of pretty. Doesn't take a lot. See, the edge is sort of showing up already. There we go. I hope you can sort of see this. I'm gonna get the camera and do a little close-up to make sure you can see all the effects. Here we go. So it's really actually quite simple, and you don't need a lot of ink. You just need a lot of patience. Don't rush it. And remember, it doesn't always look that pretty, like in the beginning. But once you sort of start to move out and fade out more and more, that's when it sort of turns out really pretty. I've just used one color on this because it's just easier to show you how to make these, but it's very easy to do more than one color. I'm going to show you this one again that I made. I just used gray and yellow, and I started off with a little yellow here, gray, yellow, gray, yellow, gray, yellow, and then I just started blowing it out very slowly. There's a lot of bubble on this, and it took me a long time actually, but that you get amazing effects. And like right here, you get a tiny bit of green, very, very soft green. You get so many great colors to come out of this. On this one I used, I think, 3 different colors, and you get so many more new colors. It's amazing. I hope I've explained this well enough, and might finish the one I just started, and I'll show you if I finish it. I might add some more colors. If you have any questions, if there's something I forgot to tell you, please ask. Just write a comment and I will do my best to answer you. But this is basically how I make bubbles. You're welcome to subscribe to my channel too. I'm just starting out making these videos. I'm gonna make more for sure. But if you have any questions, just ask. And thank you so much for watching. And I will hopefully post another video soon. Have a great day.